Sure. So, welcome everyone to the 11th editions of Tool Talk. Myself, Nishant Kashyap, editor of Tagma Times magazine, and your host for today's session. In today's Tool Talk, we have a special guest today. He is not only technocrats but also a leader in his own industry and an inspiration to all the entrepreneurs out there in the market. So I'm talking about Mr. Vijendra Babu, first generation entrepreneur, founder of Microplastics Private Limited, which is India's one of the largest contract tire manufacturers. Welcome, Mr. Vijendra Babu.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to invite Mr. Arvind Chawla, EC member of Tagma India and Managing Director, Jehoransky India, to introduce Mr. Vijendra Babu.
Thank you, Nishant. It's my pleasure to be inviting Mr. Vijendra Babu for our Tagma Tool Talk for sharing his experience from his toy making industry. As I remember the toy, when we talk to our generation people, we remember only some wooden toys or some clay toys, or maximum we will ask to go out and play. But the toy industry is totally changed now. When I see the next generation or the boys or the toy shops which are offering the new things are really unbelievable. And I was just discussing who is the biggest tire producer in the world. If you can have any guesses, otherwise I will tell you it's Lego. Lego is producing maximum number of tires and he makes toys. So I would just like to introduce Mr. Vijendra Babu. He is first generation entrepreneur. He established Microplastic Private Limited in 2005 with just 3 injection molding machines. And within a span of 15 years, grown the company as the market leader in contract manufacturing of toys for leading global brands. With 1.3 million square feet of manufacturing space for toys spread across 6 plants in Bangalore, employing 2,000 plus strong workforce. MPPL also provides end-to-end solutions to diverse set of industries, including sports, furniture, auto, and consumer goods. Mr. Vijendra Babu is a mechanical engineer with post-diploma in materials management. He started his career in BPL refrigeration as molding shop production engineer and held senior positions in TVS, electronics, and Continental before embarking on his entrepreneurial journey. The company, under his able leadership, has won many awards and accolades from both customers and the government. Presenting you Mr. Vijendra Babu for his tool talk. Sir, floor is open for you.
Thank you so much, Arvindji, for this kind introduction. Good afternoon, friends, and pleasure to be, this tool talk. And thanks for inviting me. The Tagma is doing a great job in organizing this tool talk from various sectors of the industry. But really happy to be part of this tool talk and share my experience in toy manufacturing. Thanks again for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Vijayan. Thanks for the kind words, and I'm sure with your insights, we are going to learn a lot of new things today. So
well,
shall we start now?
There are some experts in the panel here. I will also be learning a lot from their experience and knowledge as well. We all learn from each other. Always.
Yeah, that's mutual. Right. So, Mr. Vijayan, as we also heard from Mr. Chawla in your introduction, before starting Microplastics Private Limited, you work with companies like BPL, TVS, and Continental, which has no relation with toys. So, how did you come to this toy making industry? What is it that came in your mind in the toy making industry? So, can you please share about your entrepreneur journey over the years since you started this company?
Well, yeah, I didn't straight away get into toy industry. Of course, when I started, it was for auto and consumer industry. That is when we started in 2005.
Right.
But in 2009, 2010, I came across a model hobby company called Hornby Hobbies in UK. There's a brand called Airfix, and they do collectibles. For some of the people in India, collectibles may look something different. These are the battle kits, aircraft, artillery, ships, tankers, all this thing which are used in First World War, Second World War. It has bit of history to it. So the model kits also gets classified as toys. So I see when we start as an entrepreneur, obviously you cannot start straight away as a product manufacturer. You always climb your steps as a component manufacturer. But soon I realized that it's very difficult to grow in the industry with, as a component manufacturer. So I was always looking for an opportunity to get into a product or get into sub-assemblies. And that is when these Hornby guys were looking at India for an alternate supplier to China. So I met and convinced them that the model hobby kits can be done from India, and that today we are the single source for the brand called Airfix. Anywhere in the world, if you see Airfix kits, that's made out of microplastics. But in 2015, Hasbro, who is one of the largest customers, they were looking for an alternate source in India. Today, everyone looks at the alternate source out of China. So they were looking for an alternate source in India, and that is how we met Hasbro. And then it's a long process of qualifications and things to even convince. They are the global leaders in toy brand, and to convince them and it can be made in India. So it took a lot of time, and that's how we got an opportunity to work with Hasbro. And that's how we got into toys in 2015. So when I started my company in 2005, but got into toys in 2015, in the real toys, what you call. And from there on, the last 6 years, we have grown really big in toys, I must say. Added a lot more customers. Today, we literally produce for top 8 to 10 global brands. And we started with 1 factory, and today we have 6 factory. And just happy to share with you, last week we inaugurated our M Plastics Toys and Engineering, which is a subsidiary of Microplastics. And that's the largest manufacturing setup for toys in the country. It's about 650,000 square foot of toy manufacturing space. And together with the existing facility, we have about 1.2 million manufacturing space today in toys. So that's how, in a very summarized way, but it's been a roller coaster ride in the last 15 years, being a first generation entrepreneur.
Thanks. Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and it is indeed very inspiring. And you shared that you have like 7 plants, which is one of the largest in India. So people in any business who are starting a new company, can you share some of your learnings for budding entrepreneurs? What all they need to keep in mind, and basically what to do for success when they start the company?
Well, there is no fixed formula for success. I guess that is something
Right.
everybody realizes. But most important is to be innovative. That's what I feel, and people have to have patience. There is no, the overnight success. It is step by step. You need to have patience. You need to have innovative, and I have my own definition of success. I always tell everybody that you need to have luck with you, but my definition of luck is something completely different. My abbreviation of LUCK, luck, is L stands for location, if you are in the right location, and U
Right.
stands for you should have right understanding, and C stands for you need to have the right connections, and K stands for you need to have right knowledge. And if it is you who have all these 4, you are at the right location with right understanding, having right connections and all the right knowledge, and if that is you, you are bound to be lucky in the business. So that's how I put it for all the budding entrepreneurs, I would say.
That's a great abbreviation of luck, I would say. So if I'm not wrong, as you said that you started inaugurated new facility last week. It was on 14th Feb, right? Which is one of the largest. So did you choose this particular day as Valentine Day because you love your toys?
You can say so, but I'm so busy on day-to-day things. Honestly, it's difficult to remember Valentine Day, but it happened to be Valentine's Day, and you are very much right that yeah, yeah, you can say it's a Valentine Day gift in terms of putting up the largest facility and ever married to toys.
Right. That's nice. So would you like to share some more details about this particular plant and your manufacturing facilities? What all machines you have, how your overall manufacturing process goes?
Yes, Mr. Shan. See, once fully operational, this factory will have about, as a group, we will have about 450 molding machines. We already have about 300 plus injection molding machines with us, and we are adding another 150 molding machines in the new plant now. So together we'll have about 450 molding machines. We have a very good tool room capable of manufacturing about 500 molds a year. So there is a lot of big expansion going in the new plant to add machineries, and tool room is going to be very big there. So we are getting into plush toys, so which means we will have all the sieving machines and all the other capabilities what is required for the plush toys. We are also having in-house PCBA manufacturing in the setup, then the blow molding, roto molding. So it's a complete gamut of infrastructure what is required for manufacturing of toys, which is coming up in the new plant. And we will be generating employment to an additional 2,000 plus people, where about 60% of the employment will be for ladies from the rural background. Of course, now many people may not know that toys is highly engineered product, which means you also have you need a very, very skilled middle management and senior management as well, but also requires skill in terms of decorations, assemblies, sieving, whether it's a PCBA, of course, the tooling, and we are also coming up with a model shop in the same facility for prototyping and things. So it will be it's a complete, end-to-end infrastructure what is required for manufacturing toys.
Right, right. Nice to know about this particular plant, and your plan to, hire 60% women in the.
And that's the same in existing plants as well. So it's the same policy which continues in the new plant as well.
That's great. That's great. For the audience, I just wanted to add that if you have any question for Mr. Vijayan, you can put those in the chat box below that Mr. Vijayan can answer at the end of this session. Thank you. So, Mr. Vijayan, can we get back to the industry now about toy making industry? So, we see since last 3-4 years there has been a good development in the toy making industry ever since our Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, spoke in Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign as well as in his speech. And then there are some cluster developments are also happening. So, can you just share what trend we are seeing in the Indian toy making industry as compared with the international toy making industry?
In toys, there are two segments. The one is the domestic toy making industry, and the other one is companies like us who are into completely exports, where we do the contract manufacturing for the OEM brands. And I'm talking from the point of contract manufacturing for the OEMs. So that's where I represent. So as you all know, toys is very big globally. It's about maybe it is touching almost $100 billion in terms of retail revenue. And in which China leads the way all the way in terms of manufacturing. Out of the retail value of 100 billion, I think China exports more than about 40-45 billion is their the toy manufacturing capability as on today. And in China is a very, very matured industry in terms of toy manufacturing, and they have mastered this for at least 6 to 7 decades. But with the growing geopolitical situations and also the ever increasing labor cost in China, toys being a very labor intensive industry, the next alternate is India. And considering our geography and the people strength, which is our biggest strength, so the whole toy the brands are looking for India as a alternate destination there. Again, as I said, there's domestic industry and export, whereas the expectations from the OEMs when it comes to exports is completely different in terms of infrastructure requirement, in terms of chemical adherence, quality, and all the customers always talk of something called service levels, where they expect a very, very high service levels there. And the whole ecosystem, when compared to China and India, it is still very nascent in India. In the sense, the ecosystem needs to develop a lot. Compared to what it was 5 years back and compared to what it is today, I must say MPPL, along with a couple of other major players who are in India, we have together developed a good ecosystem in India where our reliance on imports have come down considerably, and we are able to develop that ecosystem here. But still, as the knowledge acquisition in India, that is something I can say work in progress, where to get into more and more categories of toys, we need to also gain that knowledge and scale up. And again, toying being a very, very seasonal industry, that is something which ramps up during the season in a very, very big way, where you need to, the people management becomes one of the very, very high importance here. Because you are not looking at 100, 200 people, you are looking at thousands of people, where you have to ramp up and then probably ramp down in the lean season. And then the whole development starts where the time given for the development is very, very short. Even if you understand today, the kids also, when they take a new toy, within a day, within a week, within a month, the interest level comes down. So you need to keep bringing new products. And that is where the whole development cycle, right from the tooling to the qualification of the product, is shrinking. So earlier, we used to talk when we started the industry, it used to be about 50 weeks, then 40, then 30. Today, customers are talking about just 20 weeks from the day the concept to the market. So the whole shelf life is decreasing here. So that's one of the major challenges for us in India, where that's the meeting that customer expectations in terms of that speed is something, and then meeting their expectations in terms of service levels always remain a challenge for us. And that also to do with the knowledge acquisition. If you really see in India, we don't get any toy trained people as such. Because still it's a very nascent industry here. So we have to take people from the regular consumer goods, FMCGs, or the auto background and the regular engineering background, and make them adapt to the toy requirements, where in exports, it's all about speed. Everything is about speed. So it takes time for people to adapt to that situation. So these are some of the challenges I can say compared to a country like China, where we in India to match them. Yes, there is absolutely no problem in matching. Yes, it is a very, very competitive industry, and China leads the way there. And even today, we need to compete with China in terms of cost, but in terms of quality, in terms of our ability to ramp up, our ability to put up the infrastructures, and I think we are on par with China. Probably where we need to, as I said, it's a work in progress, is the knowledge acquisition, and then meet their efficiency, speed. Those are the things for us. It's a work in progress, and where on a daily basis we keep working on those areas.
Right. So thanks for chatting out the challenges and the opportunities in front of us. You also spoke about the rising geopolitical situation might be an opportunity for India to grab the growing opportunity. So also we see that since last 3 years, the import in India for toys has been going down continuously. So what are the reasons for that? And toy makers like you, and then there are many other toy makers, what all you need to flourish and cater to the global market? Because I'm sure for you to manufacture good toys, you need to you also need a lot of good vendors, ecosystem. The whole ecosystem has to be there, raw material, tool makers like that. So.
Absolutely.
So how do you go about it? Like in terms of vendor development, how do you solve these issues in India?
Well, as I said before, when we started, there's a lot of challenges in terms of developing the ecosystem. But today we are in a far better position. Coming back to the opportunities in India, definitely, today it's a pet subject of Honorable Prime Minister, where there's a lot of traction and a lot of tailwind, which is spoken about. Improving the domestic toy manufacturing and encouraging made in India toys to be exported as well. So that's a very great move, where today toy manufacturing is heard at the center level, at the state level. Everyone knows today that toy can be the next biggest thing in India in terms of employment generation, opportunity to grow the industry, exports, everything. There's a huge opportunity. The very fact that imports are reducing due to BIS requirement, QCO requirements, and also import duty going up, provides very huge opportunity for the domestic players as well. Last time we had Manish ji speaking about the opportunity in the domestic toy manufacturing. Even for us, what we see today is all the OEM brands which they used to import and then distribute the toys in the country. Today they are asking us to, we are getting more SKUs where the same products which we are exporting is also getting distributed in India. So that still the per capita consumption of toys in India is very less considering our population. But compared to say the Americans or the Europe and other rest of the world. But considering today, even our own middle class today, there's the spending power is increasing. And today people know, or the kids know, when they move into a Hamley store, when they go to a Toys R Us stores, they see the brands, and today kids know about the brands. And that is where these toys which we are only exporting, we see a good traction of those toys being distributed in the country, and it can only grow from here. So with all these things, I can only see the opportunities increasing, you know, on a daily basis. And there is the more knowledge we acquire, and then we meet the international requirement, which is very high in terms of quality, which is very high in terms of chemical compliance. You know, these are some of them, and then very high in terms of ethical practices, what we need to follow in terms of you know, setting up the industry and then working through the industry. These and again, as I said, the competitiveness, the speed and efficiency, what is required to cater to their requirements. As we develop these abilities, the you know, there cannot be two quality levels, that export is a different quality and what we sell in India is a different quality. Since there cannot be like that. Today, the products what are being exported are the same product which are distributed in India market as well. So with the same ethical practices, the same competitiveness, the same chemical compliance, the same quality adherence. So today, these toys come with a completely at a different level, I would say.
Right, right. So you spoke about the opportunities growing in a daily basis. In fact, there was this survey conducted by FICCI and KPMG about the India toy market, where they estimate the Indian toy market currently is about $1 billion and has potential to double itself by 2025. So as a toy maker yourself, what all you will need from your suppliers, such as tool and die makers, to support such growth?
Well, since it's a tool talk, I will restrict my discussion in terms of tool requirements
Tooling,
here.
right?
See, you know, I spoke about the speed, what is required, and I spoke about the competitiveness, what is required in this toy industry. The very
Right.
reason is that the number of products, number of SKUs which gets developed on an annual basis, you know, owing to the reason that today the shelf life of the products are reducing. The kids want to see new products, new designs, new. So that means every opportunity comes with the tooling. There's no toy which can be developed without a tool involvement here. Whether it is die cast, whether it is plastics, whether it is anything, the tool is very, very crucial here. So the most important in the tool segment is, for us, tooling is like mass production. If you see from export point of view on an annual basis, for example, the minimum, even Manish ji, last time he said the Indian requirement is about 40,000 new products comes on an annual basis, and on average you take about 5 to 10 tools per product. You can do the math yourself, what is the number of tools required, that is for the domestic industry. And if I come to the exports, where there are only few chosen people here, about 5-6 of us who are into major exports of toys, and together, if we consider the requirement at about even 200 SKUs, bare minimum I'm giving you, 200 SKUs per annum, and each SKU requires an average about 20 to 25 tools. You are looking at about 4,000 to 5,000 tools on an annual basis. So, and all these things to be developed in a very, very short window. And the cost is very crucial here, and the speed of manufacturing. That is where the biggest challenge is for us in the tool making. Because the customers today, I said before in my earlier discussion that the concept to market today, customer has shrunk it to about 20 weeks. And you can imagine the time which is given for the tool making. So customers are talking today about in days, not even in weeks. So about 25 days, 30 days, product can have as high as minimum as 10 tools per product. And we have also done a product which can have even 70, 80 tools per product. So whether you manufacture 10 tools or 70 tools, the lead time today, which is expected by the customer, is max 6 weeks for your T1 and another 2 to 3 weeks for your problem solving between T1 to qualification. So the maximum what we get is 8 weeks for the complete qualification, whether it is just 4 tools per product or even 70 tools per product. So that's the biggest challenge in the industry today.
So efficiency is the biggest requirement.
Speed, efficiency, and also cost competitiveness, because whether we like it or not today, for us, especially in exports, our competition is with China. And even today, the China costs are very, very competitive. And for us to compete with them, it is quite a challenge.
Right, right.
But even when you meet the cost competitiveness, the next most important thing where probably we are in a position to meet the cost also, but the next most important thing where we always have to catch up is China's speed and efficiency.
Right, right. So you just told us in some numbers that the number of tools required, which seems huge, more than 1 million tools in a year,
Absolutely.
putting together domestic and export both. So at the moment, the Indian toy makers, from where they source tools, is it all imported? Like what percent is imported and how much is like domestically made, in-house, outsourced?
See, to be honest with you, the OEMs or the brands, they don't like us to import the tools from China, because the very fact that they are trying to come out of China looking for an alternate in India, they would like us to give end-to-end solutions.
Right,
So yes, it's only when it is not possible to make the tools or compete with China in terms of price and speed, maybe some of us are forced to import the tools, but all of us are looking at developing the tools within India. It could be our own tool rooms, or it could be strategic, tying up with strategic tool rooms. But the
right.
lookout is to manufacture 100% of the tools within the country, not to import. I don't think any of us are interested to. I'm talking about the exporters' point of view, not the domestic toy factories.
Right.
At least for all of us, we are looking 100% to manufacture tools within the country.
That must be music to tool makers who are attending
Absolutely,
here.
absolutely, yes.
So, sir, you said that you want to import, you don't want to import and develop here only, source tools from India only. So, do you think the kind of numbers you need and kind of efficiency, cost effectiveness, and all those things, the Indian tool makers are competent enough to serve your demand?
Uh, it's a mixed response. Some places, yes, but overall we are still struggling in terms of price competitiveness and in terms of speed. We
Right,
still do not have the total answer from the Indian tool makers, I would say, and that includes our own tool room. We have a captive tool rooms, and that we also manufacture a lot of tools. But being
right.
our own tool room, in terms of cost competitiveness, we find ways to do the tools. But in terms of speed, we also have a lot to catch up with the speed expectations from the customers. But in both ways, a lot of work to be done in India.
Okay, okay. And the toy makers in India, do they want to have their own tool room, the captive tool rooms, or they would prefer to source it from outside?
See,
Which
the
one?
requirements are so huge. It is not possible. Even as I said, even I have a captive tool room, and we are expanding our tool rooms to be able to manufacture at least 500 molds per annum. That's the capacity which we are creating inside the tool room. Today, we have about 150 to 200 tools per annum kind of a capacity, but we are now almost doubling our capacity to reach that level. But in spite of having your own captive tool room, as I said, the development cycle is so short, and the industry is so seasonal. There is always ample opportunity for us to look for a strategic tool makers, because it all depends on how you get the product portfolio. When you get every product you need to develop in the same space, obviously it is not possible to do everything in-house, and the only way is to keep expanding your tool rooms, but which may not be the ideal situation for us. So obviously, in spite of having our own captive tool room, that's from my point of view, even we are looking for strategic tool rooms to tie up with us where they can provide us the solution.
Right, right. So having captive tool rooms may not be possible for everyone, so they'll have to source tools from outside. So in
Absolutely.
such cases, toy makers like yourself and some other toy makers, what are the key evaluation factors before you finalize any strategic partner, strategic tool rooms for you? What all you look exactly?
See, as I said, speed is the factor here. So definitely the infrastructure makes a big difference. The tool room should have this CNC environment where all the CNC machines, whether it is milling, EDM, wire cuts, design product, at least the tool design capability. We may not look at product design capability, but definitely tool design capability. Because for us also, as I said, a product might have about 50 tools, 100 tools in a product. We don't like to distribute those many tools within the product. I don't want to give 10 tools to one supplier, another 5 tools to another supplier, another 50 tools to another supplier. It doesn't make sense, because the fit and function, colors, a lot of things to match here. And we would definitely look at one tool maker for us to give that entire 50 tools, 70 tools, 20 tools, 30 tools, what is required for a product. And again, if there are multiple products to be developed in the same time, that means the tool room should have such capacities where it can handle at least minimum 50 to 100 tools at a time. Okay, so but unfortunately today many tool rooms, what we also see is they are capable of producing 5-10 tools or maximum about 15-20 tools, but it's difficult to find the tool rooms which can produce about say 50 to 100 tools in a short span of 6 to 8 weeks. So that's our challenge, for that. So as a tool maker, there are many tool makers in the panel. They can figure out themselves to be able to do 80 to 100 tools at a time. What kind of infrastructure is required?
Right, right. And in toy making industry, usually what kind of tools are required? Can you classify the kind of tools you need or
In
kind of
our
support?
case, it is predominantly injection molding tools and blow molding tools, roto molding tools, but majority is, I can say, about 80% for us is injection molding tools, about 10 to 15% blow molding tools, and about 5 to 8% roto molding tools in our case. And that could be typically injection molding tools are the largest.
Okay, okay. Just a couple of questions from my side before we go to the audience questions. So, at your own facility, what percent of tool requirement is met by your own captive tool room, and how much you outsource at the moment?
Oh, it's almost 50-50, I can say.
Okay.
Again, it's all because of the time constraints, and you need to develop many products within that short span. So we need to have that partnership with external tool rooms. So what we are working at probably today is at 50-50, where we do 50% in-house and 50% we outsource.
Okay, okay. Okay, so in one of your answer, you also spoke about not finding right skills for the toy making industry because the industry is not matured enough at the moment. It's still in an nascent stage. So to develop skills in this industry, what steps are taken from toy makers or, from the government side or maybe from the tool making side? So.
See, tool making is, yes, what is required in tool making is the adaptability for toy making. For example, traditionally in India, we work with auto, and that auto becomes the major industry for us. Where I would say, yes, the quality is paramount in auto. Same, I also told you, toy is highly engineered product here. Okay,
Right.
but in auto, the basic thing is there are big global players in auto where you get the complete product design for you. All the details, are provided to you. The 3D model with all the details, even a small radius change probably goes through an ECN. So everything is well laid out and well organized, and then probably kind of spoon-fed to everyone. In toys, it is not like that. The customer gives you a product and they want the same product. Even the biggest of the global players don't even have a 3D model. Today, they just talk of concept where from a 2D drawing, they expect you to create your own 3D, do the core cavity extractions, do the proto, and then do the tooling, everything on your own. You can't go back to the customer and say, no, this is not fitting. You gave us the tool design. We did everything as per tool design. All these things are not possible because they are all tuned to working in China, where, in China, you give a product, you get a product next day, and you don't even know which is the original product, which is the fake product. They are able to copy it so beautifully. Okay, so that's the expectation, because the customers have been used to China for so many decades, and they are used to those Chinese way of working. And similarly, they expect us to do, where they don't want us to keep coming back to them asking more and more questions on a daily basis. What they say is, no, you're the experts. We are giving you the product. You figure out everything. So that becomes our biggest challenge, where even the tool makers, when we give the tools outside, we do a fitment and we say this has to be changed. There's a lot of reluctance to do those changes, and everything gets into a commercial discussion. Everything, because they are tuned to that way of working in say auto and other things. Here, it is not possible that way. They need to understand that the fit and function. Yes, we don't ask about micron level, CPK level in toys, which is required in probably auto industry and aerospace and others. In toys, it's all about fit and function. It is simple fit and function. So that is the reason every tool is P20. There are no hardened tools in toys. No customer, because toys for them is, they invest on several products on a yearly basis with no guarantee how many products will succeed and how many products will fail. So the customers don't spend so much on the tooling. It's all about P20 tools. There are not even hot runner molds there. It is all cold runner molds. Again, multi-cavities, family molds, as much as they try to fit it in the same tool because to keep the cost down. But everything is a P20 mold there. Okay, and that because it also helps in gaining the speed. You don't have even time to look at hardening and all those things. And even with P20 tool, the expectation from the customers is it's all commodity plastics. In toys, we don't work with highly engineered plastics like nylons or glass filled, fiber filled. There are no such materials. It's all simple commodity plastic, which is ABS, HIPS, PPs, maybe PP cores, and then even POM. It's all regular commodity plastics. The expectation is that with P20 molds, you have to work at about 1 million shots as the tool life for any commodity plastics. And when you are doing a PVC mold and things like that, it's 500,000 shot. I'm talking about 500,000 shot and a million shot times that many cavities. So that means it has to last. And because we produce everything in millions, there's nothing we produce in hundreds and thousands. So everything is in millions, and the cycle times are very, very short cycles. You can't run at 30, 40, 60 seconds. You don't have those luxuries. So everything is like probably single digits are very early double digits. The 15 seconds, 18 seconds becomes a very high cycle times. Even if the molds are going up to 300 and 400 ton machines, you're still expected to run under 20 seconds, 25 seconds kind of a thing, multi-cavity family molds. So to give such P20 molds at that cost and at that speed and that quality to give you 1 million shots to life becomes the major challenge.
Right. So one last question from my side before we take questions from audience. So what are your key suggestions to the Indian tool makers if they want to grab opportunities in toy making industry? What are your key, I would say, 4-5 suggestions to them?
First and foremost, if any tool maker wants to associate with toy industry, you have to accept that toy industry works like this only. We cannot change the way customer works. So we have to change the way we work. Correct? That means you need a lot of adaptability. You need to innovate, because if I'm asking you to make 100 tools on say 6 weeks basis, 4 weeks basis, we cannot work in the traditional way where we first complete the tool design and then order your mold base. The mold base has to suit your tool design, which means that itself will take you 4 or 5 weeks. All this kind of working will not work anymore. What we have to look at, everything has to be standardization, which means you need to see how China is successful and try to adapt that here. Now, if you have a strategic tie-up with the tool room, what we expect the tool room to do is that you have stocks of the mold base. Correct, at all tonnages, we give the range at which tonnages and how many tools we can occupy those tonnages. We expect the tool room to have, including us, to have that inventory of those mold bases. And whenever we get a product, we match our core and cavity design to go with that existing tool base. Not that you design your tool and then order your tool base, then get your tool base. There's no time there. And to an extent, you need to standardize your core pin, standardize your ejector pin, standardize your runner design, standardize your cooling lines. Everything we talk about standardization. That's the only way to meet that speed. And for this, you need to be mentally prepared and adapt and accept the toy industry is like this. What we come across many tool rooms is they always challenge, no, this cannot be done like this. We cannot develop the tools and to mold bases and keep it ready. We always work traditionally like this, that we first do the tool design and then order the mold base, and this then is not going to work in this industry. So if you want to get associated with the toy industry, you need to think little outside the box and adapt to the toy requirement. There is no dearth of skills in our country. Where we probably lack is the adaptability to a new environment. That people don't want to come out of their comfort zone. And then, that doesn't probably work in this industry, considering that we work with the OEMs where their expectations are completely different. Right? So that adaptability, if you want to have, you have to think differently. How do we make it happen? Because many times when we seek a tool quote, what we see the difference is, even whether it is our own in-house quotation or we get a quote from China, we see a difference of about 2x or even 1.5x to 2x. And they even challenge us, how can it be done? But we are all doing it. So that means there is a way out. And companies which are doing it, that means there is a way out. It's about accepting. If we try to tell them this is the way to do it, it is about accepting and adapting to those requirements. Then there is a way out, definitely.
Right. So I'm sure everyone has learned something new today to if they want to get into the toy manufacturing industry or the tool for the toy making industry. Definitely, we have learned a lot. So thank you so much, Mr. Vijayan, for taking the questions and sharing your knowledge with us, sharing your entrepreneur journey with us. So now let's take questions from the audience. Okay, so this is not a question, but appreciation, I guess, from Mr. Sunil Lodha. He says, Dear Vijay, one of the best abbreviation of luck so far I have come across. Leaders are not born, they are made. Great thought. God is in. Yeah, so he's basically sending a lot of warm regards to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Another question from Mr. Niranjan. He says, it's wonderful to hear from you. It's a phenomenal growth and success. What do you see the opportunities for such sustainable material alternatives to nylons and PBT? Have you considered bringing this type of material into your molding system? I'm talking about polyketones, which is the right material for toy making.
Well, I'm not a polymer science expert here, so I do not think, see, in toys, everything is about decoration. There is no toy without a decoration. That means it has to have spray painting, and then it has to have tampo, screen printing, inks, paints becomes a major, because for the kid, the attraction is the decoration. And when we say decoration, it's not about just one single color painting on the total product. It is multicolor mask painting on the products. And for decoration, as I know, ABS is one of the best materials, because again, we don't produce anything in hundreds and thousands. As I said, it's all in millions. That means our line is the line throughput. We get a toy out in, many people may not believe here, the output of every 5 seconds, every 4 seconds, every 8 seconds is a total toy which is coming out. That means when you do a decoration also, you don't have that you do the painting today, you keep it for 24 hours and then take it. It becomes a single piece flow for us, where even in the painting, it is a serial painting. That means one mask, one painting is done, you keep it to the next station, next painting is done. So other than even material like ABS, why it is important is it can take the painting straight away. You don't need to have even a base coat. So whereas even in PP, for example, you need to have a base coat and then your paint. Whereas in ABS, it's straight painting. So that is why when we choose the material, what is very, very important here is the decorative properties of the material, and the material have to be light in weight, because it's the kids up to 14 years is what the toys are used by 1-year-old kid, or even infants to the 14-year-old, where weight becomes a major criteria for you. And it has to have that ease of fitment and function, where the toys undergo drop test of even 5 foot, 6 foot height, where you need to have that plasticity properties. I do not know whether the materials what the gentleman expressed. I'm not, as I said, I'm not a polymer science expert, but whether when we select a material, again, we don't have much say in the selection of the materials. It is the product design owners, which are the OEMs, who select the materials here. And probably they might have seen all these materials. But today, even alternate materials are worked upon, but all are around these properties, where this becomes one of the major criteria for selection of materials.
Right. Thanks. So there is another question from Mr. Siraj. He asks, what is the scope of aluminum tooling in toy manufacturing?
Well, I expected this question, definitely. We're considering the speed and what we talk about. See, we have also explored the possibility of making aluminum tools. But there are 2-3 important factors when we select. Yes, when it comes to pricing, considering the density, weight, and the cost between the P20, as I told you earlier, none of the toys are with hardened tools. Everything is with P20. So considering that and the density of aluminum and the price versus this, we don't see a big difference in the price in the raw material front. That's the first point. The second point is, as I said, the products have to run in millions. That means the tool life, what we require is 1 million shots. And we find that aluminum tools don't give that kind of value. It is okay to do few thousands, maybe, but not 1 million shots kind of a thing. That's our practical experience. And the third important point is aluminum tool. It's tough when it comes to, it's okay when you are doing a very simple parting line, having simple parting line kind of a product. but not complex. In our tools, in toys, and when you can finish the tool completely in machining and way, but in our kind of products, the profiles are too many. Where when it comes to such profiles, we depend on EDM and things like that, where again you have to look at electrodes and all those things. So it basically doesn't answer whether aluminum tool is a straight alternate, but where there are some simple tools, simple parting lines where you can finish everything with machining. And if the tool life is not up to 1 million shots and things like that, probably aluminum tool is an answer from my practical perspective. But maybe others may have a different view here, but that's my practical version here. So we still do predominantly P20 tools. We have not been able to totally get into aluminum tools.
Got it. So a question from Mr. Gaurav Pal. What kind of injection molding machines MPPL uses? Is it all electric injection molding machines or hydraulic injection molding machines?
It's a combination of both. Again, it's your the toy industry doesn't say that you have to have all electric machine or you need to have hydraulic machines. It's about cost here. So it's the particular individual company decision whether you want to go with an all electric machine or you want to go with hydraulic machines.
Right. Question from Mr. Sri. It says, dear sir, do you do majority of the products use hot runner system or cold runner systems?
Now, as I said in my discussion, very few with hot runner because it's again the cost. And in the toy industry, OEMs believe in recycling, which means the runner gets recycled. So anyways, since your runner are getting recycled, if at all there's a very complex geometry which requires a hot runner system, if not, it is predominantly cold runner. Maybe about 2 to 3% hot runner, 98% cold runner modes.
There's a question from Mr. Niranjan. Sir, have you considered 3D printing as a new option to make the toys?
Well, we can't make million pieces in 3D printing. The cost doesn't work out. For prototyping, yes. As I said, we are also creating a model shop with 3D printing, scanning, all these facilities. That is to make a proto and probably do a few pieces to sell the concept to the customer. But as I said, our volumes are in millions, and that's absolutely not possible economically in 3D printing.
Right. So there's a question from Mr. Paresh Beda. What materials are used for printing masks?
You mean painting masks? It's copper masks.
Okay.
Because you don't want paints to stick when you paint on the masks. Because for us, again, it's million pieces, million decoration. So every piece you need that repeatability. So it's a copper which is used for mask making.
Right. A question from Mr. Deepak Gupta. What kind of EDM facility MPPL have? Do they use graphite?
Yes, we use graphite. Yes. We use both copper electrodes and graphite electrodes. Both. Again, it depends on the design of the product, tool design, and the selection of the materials. But yes, we use both.
There is a question from Mr. Nadir Khan. Are you facing any challenges related to CNC machining?
I didn't understand the question. What is meant by challenging in CNC machining? Yes, challenging in the sense, I don't know what the gentleman meant in terms of whether it is 3-axis, 4-axis, 5-axis, considering the speed and the geometries today and the finishes, what we need to do. 5-axis machines are better, and a high-speed RPM, high RPM machines are better. Looking at 30,000 RPM, 40,000 RPM machine with 4-axis, 5-axis is definitely good to finish most of the things in machining. That also helps in achieving the speed. But other than that, I don't know if there is any other challenges.
Right. Just a couple of more questions we'll take. There is this question from Mr. Abhinav. He says, Mr. Vijendra, sir, firstly, thank you for sharing your experience, and it was indeed a learning for all of us. Now, coming to the question, what are the challenges faced during the extrusion blow molding process, and to overcome those problems, does it affect the productivity, especially with the thicker wall section toys?
Thicker wall section, we normally adapt gas-assisted molding. So in many cases where there are thicker wall section, and then you also need to get the good level of filling, and also weight becomes a criteria. It is still injection molded, but we adapt the gas-assisted molding there.
Right. Just last question now. An interesting one from Mr. Ravi Kiran. Dear sir, your suggestions or input for the new startups in the same field?
We welcome competition. So we want more and more people. See, again, the toy industry in India should grow. That's how I feel the ecosystem has to grow. And it's not about competition here. Considering the market size and considering the potential, what the toy industry can achieve, it cannot be possible. If you just do a simple math here, where China exports about 30 billion, and even if the toy world wants to shift 1% of that to our country, we have on a platter $1 billion opportunity here to make toys. And that's not possible from one MPPL or 10 MPPLs. You need multiple MPPLs, right? So there is an opportunity. I think young entrepreneurs should definitely grab that opportunity, and then look at how to justify that opportunity and grow the industry here. That's how I can put it.
Right. So thank you so much, Mr. Vijayan, for taking the questions from the audience as well and sharing your valuable insights. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Mr. Chawla, would you like to add anything? Would you like to say something?
Yes, definitely, Mr. Vijendra Babu, your 1 hour talk definitely must have given shivering to many of toolmakers in their spine, because everybody, like I am also a toolmaker, and we think we are already working very hard. And when some customer comes and says you have to reduce the timeline, you have to improve the quality, and you have to reduce the cost. So all three things, we still have to go back and think how we can do it. As Tagma, we have a beautiful participation of very highly knowledgeable tool makers.
Yeah.
I think the challenge is to take the orders or go for a project jointly. Because when you say you need 5,000 to 6,000 tools a year, and you have one, and there are many like this. So suppose if we take 10 to 15,000 tools per year requirement, an average tool maker makes 100 tools per year. So hundreds of tool rooms can be flooded with the orders with this type of things. The challenge, what you told, is absolutely right. When you compare with China, they are cheaper, they are faster, their approach is different. And we are also working on the same approaches. And I am sure time to come that you will find many more tool makers in India who will be able to serve you with the better things, whatever you are getting from China.
Absolutely no doubt, sir. Absolutely no doubt.
But I still doubt China is no more cheaper now.
Well, unfortunately I beg to differ here, because even today when we compare the quotes, and when we are unable to do, they are able to do at that price. And trust me, their quality also is equally good. What tools we get it done in India, we make ourselves, and the Chinese tools, there's no difference in the quality, but they are still competitive when it comes to their. They're definitely competitive, at least in the toy
No,
industry. I'm still putting
I
it only
agree
in the
with you.
toy sector. Yeah.
But I agree with you, they are cheaper, but they are not cheaper as they were earlier. So
Maybe
Right.
yes, maybe yes.
the gap is reducing,
So
and
that's again an opportunity for all of us again.
that's a big opportunity, but
Yes.
really. So I would like to thank you for your time and excellent speech on our Tagma members. We appreciate the knowledge what you shared, and looking forward to work together with our Tagma members in coming future times, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It's been absolute pleasure to interact with the industry leaders and industry friends here. And thanks, Tagma, for this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
All I can see is there is a lot of work for tool makers and toy makers to
Absolutely.
work together and grab the bigger opportunities. Thank you so much for sharing insights again and talking about your journey. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in today. Please stay tuned for the next tool talk. Thank you so much.